And we're back. Next up, we have Isa Alcantara and Heidi Scott from HR.com, and their presentation is on create videos in minutes, not weeks. Take it away.
We are so excited to be here. I'm Dr. Heidi Scott. I'm our Chief Learning Officer at HR.com, where we work tirelessly to equip HR professionals to do their jobs better with training, education, research, you name it, we've got it for HR professionals. And we have a great and very skilled L&D team, which Isa is part of. Isa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Isa Alcantara. I am based from Manila, Philippines. I'm an adaptive learning developer at HR.com, and I'm very proud to be part of Heidi's very talented team of instructional designers. And we're so excited to be here. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. So Isa mentioned she's our specialist when it comes to true AI adaptive learning. And we use a tool called Area 9 in which to develop things, assessments that are really cool. And it was that caused us to think, you know what, let's produce some videos, but sometimes it takes a long time. You've probably been there where you're getting voiceover talent and you get it all right, and then someone wants something changed. So we're going to talk about how we can do things better and faster. Isa?
All right. So before we begin, let's look to our friends who can help us with our L&D Life Hack. Let me reshare my screen.
These are great friends of ours.
Yes.
Hi there. Welcome to the Torrance Learning Annual Download Conference.
Come join us for fun as we present our Learning and Development Life Hack.
Together with Dr. Heidi Scott, Chief Learning Officer, and Isabel Alcantara, Adaptive Learning Developer at HR.com.
We're here to help Heidi and Isabel talk to you about a cool new learning and development hack using Synthesia.
Awesome. Let's begin.
Let's talk about 4 helpful tips to create videos in minutes and not weeks. First, cut production time to produce quality short videos at scale.
其次，将文本转化为超过60多种语言和多种口音的语音。
Oops, sorry. What I meant to say was, turn text into speech in over 60 languages and many accents.
Third, skip finding direct-to-camera talent and hiring professional voice-over work.
Lastly, utilize an inexpensive video production in a web-based tool.
Those are awesome tips. Thanks for your help. We hope this learning and development life hack will help you and create engaging learning experiences. Presented to you by HR.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
So you may be wondering, and as we get back to this, those are our friends in a tool that we are becoming huge fans of. And we have a poll question for you, if that can pop up here. Go ahead and take a quick vote. How long do you think it took to create that 1 minute and 20-ish second video with each of these different speakers? So cast your vote. Okay, looking for a few more votes. Here they come. Okay.
Interesting to see the votes.
It is, isn't it? So
yes.
5 people said 20 minutes. Well, you were ambitious, but a lot of people, almost as many, said 2 days or 22 hours or 13 for 2 hours. The real answer is, as Isa goes, if you want to head back to our slide deck and say, what's the answer,
minutes.
Isa? 20 minutes. Catch that. And did you like that? The gal that spoke Chinese, like, hey, and then she whipped around and spoke English. So you may be sitting here thinking, hey, how'd y'all do this? Isa, can you open up the hood on this fine beauty and show us how to do this? And then we're going to open this up for questions. So please, if you have questions, go ahead into the chat and do questions there or the Q&A feature, and we'll field some of those. but we want to show you how easy this is. As Issa's bringing that up, we've also used this to simply just strip out and get voiceover in a hurry. Sounds great, and you'll see the variety that we've got here. So this is with Synthesia.io, coolest tool on the market from my L&D perspective.
Yeah. All right. So I'm so excited to share with you the platform. So basically, this is the dashboard. Now I'm going to click on, let's try to create a video here. So I'm going to click on create new video. So as you can see on the screen on the right side, there are a number of avatars that you could use. So all of the avatars here are diverse, in which, as a best practice in our L&D team, in our learning experiences, we want diversity in our e-learning modules. So let's try Nina. All right. So I could do a lot of stuff with Nina. So I could put her on a circle. I could adjust her, I could increase and decrease her size. I could also drag the position here. I could change the color of the background of her circle. I could also do a full body. I could put her to the left, to the center, to the right. And if your video doesn't require an avatar on it, you could also use voice only. Now I'm going to put back Nina in front. So if you pay attention here to the right panel, you're going to see templates. So Synthesia has built-in featured templates that you could use. So these templates are totally customizable for your need, and you could easily create your own templates as well. Now let me just delete this, as I don't want a template right now. And if I go back to the panel, I could change the background. So it could either be a solid color, or if you want an image, there are built-in images within Synthesia, that is images pulling from Unsplash. So let's say I want to use a white studio, but if you don't see your background here, you could type in any keyword in the background that you're looking for. Now, what's also interesting is you could also add videos as a background, which is really, really cool. But I won't be playing the background here because I think it'll take time to generate, but you can do that as well. And you could upload your own background. So whether you have the background with your company logo on it, so you could do that as well. Now I'll turn it to White Studio over here, and I could also add text. So it's very simple, very easy to use. So let's say I could add text here. You could also edit the font size, the font color, the styling. You could also adjust the line spacing. So there are a lot of features here that you could edit your text, and you can make it animate. So you could make it fade in. You could make it from the left, from the top. You could also do exit animations. Now you could really use your creativity and imagination in creating videos for this. So, but here comes the exciting part. So let's go to the exciting part. So here in the open text box, so let's say you have a script ready, or you could just easily copy and paste it over here. But let's try, all right, adding text. I want to let you know
So you're seeing just how easy this is. Now check this out. When we look at how do we want this lady to say this?
All right. Yeah. So when you click on English US Relaxed, this is where the magic begins. So you are given a multiple choices. So there are over 60 languages that you could choose from, and also many accents and the style or the tone of the voice that you're looking for. So let's try to do, what does English US Professional sound like?
Hi there. I want to let you know how much I love working for the learning and development team.
All right. Well, that sounded smooth, but let's try another language.
Give her some British tea, if we will. Let's have her have a little British accent.
All right. Let's try English warm too. Wonder what that sounds like.
Hi there. I want to let you know how much I love working for the learning and development team.
Smooth as well. But Heidi, let's try another language. So let's try Afrikaans natural.
Etiere. Ik want to let jou knop of match ilo verworking voor de learning and development team.
Love it. Didn't understand a word she said, but I love it.
Yeah, me too. So all right, we'll try English Southern for in this case. Let's see. This is the last
Hi
one.
there. I want to let you know how much I love working for the learning and development team.
All
So,
right.
Yeah, show them a sample. What would that look like when that's all? We're not going to generate it now. We pre-generated her with that Southern accent. And then we're going to wrap up here because we got to go. So I'm trying to answer questions in the chat. Can you control their facial expressions so that they look a bit more natural? No, but it's getting better. And
Hi there.
Sorry about that, Heidi. I'll try. I'll say it. Yeah.
Hi there. I just want to let you know how much I love working with the HR.com learning and development team.
So
Hi
yes,
there.
the question,
I just want to
question someone had was, can you how do you deal with pronunciation? You kind of spell it out in the text that they're going to read.
Right.
You can put various things that will cause them to make extra pauses if you want to enunciate something, or sometimes we've created a clip and then we'll slice and dice it and we'll use it in little parts here and there. And someone asked, can you control their facial expressions to make them more realistic? I don't think at this point, there's not a way to do that like I'd like, but I'm sure they're working on that. The thing that we found is Isa, when she showed you to make them from a small circle to full screen to this side, by doing that, they become much more realistic. We'll put words like you would in a regular video on screen, or we'll put a video background. So you're watching movement that causes you less to be focused on the human avatar. I showed my husband this video last night, and he said, I could kind of tell they weren't real. I said, only because I've been talking about it. Otherwise, they don't know. So that's the end of our time, you guys. I think we got like 1 minute left. So if there's any other questions, don't see anything. How was syntax managed? Don't know. But those are good questions for Synthesia. So go to synthesia.io and ask to talk to somebody. They are super helpful, and I would think that you'll love it as much as we love it.
Yeah, and to add to that, Heidi, the last thing is with pronunciation. You could type in the text box phonetically the word,
Yeah.
then you could just keep trying and testing it out.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome. We'll be at a table after the next presentation if you want to ask more questions.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Heidi and Isa. And actually, you do have 5 minutes left for your presentation.
Great. Oh,
yes,
I was late for no reason.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of questions in the Q&A if you'd like to answer those.
Sure.
I can bring some on stage if you'd like.
Can you put them in uniforms? There is a uniform for Santa Claus we saw yesterday. Do you want to open up your screen, Isa, to share the control panel, the dashboard? So yeah, sure. I think there's a hard hat guy, a vest guy. So you just have to look through the samples there. Did you start with a personal license? Yes, we did. And I haven't given full feedback to Synthesia, but they don't have a free trial, which to me is kind of a bummer, because it's like, well, how do you know if it's really going to be that cool? Like, we didn't know it was this cool until I was like, well, okay, I'll take 1 month subscription for a person so we can see if it's any good. And then we're like, wow, this is awesome. So did we try did we try to use similar tools? No, we didn't, simply because we're building enough that's varied that most of the time we know, like we just did a diversity or multicultural competency course, and the person that was leading that project, like she wanted this accent, like she was very particular because the characters in these scenarios were so built out. So we went and found voiceover talent all over the world to build this super duper cool course. In hindsight, now we're building one with diverse characters in it as well, on implicit bias. And all but one character came from the voiceovers, not the character, but the voiceovers came from Synthesia. Okay, other questions in the chat perhaps? Anything y'all want to see? Could you place an image file on top of the character, like adding a logo to a shirt? Isa, do you know?
I think we could test it out. We could, but we need to test it out because sometimes the avatars move.
Yeah,
So,
they don't move a ton. I mean, typically it's what you see here is what you get. So they're not like all over the place. I think you could do a logo. Might look a little odd, perhaps. This is where I say, just try it. Try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we validate the translations internally? Yes. One of the, and I don't know which language, which dialect of a language in Africa. One of our people are born and raised there, and she tested it. She said it's surprisingly spot on. So that was great to hear. No, we didn't go past that one, but I figure if they have a remote region in Africa and they have the language and dialect correct for that area, that it's good. Okay. Someone said I need to test out the use of voiceover with existing content. Yep, test it out. I do know that, like I said, we've had significant success with this. Question, over the time you've been using it, have you seen the voices improve and sounding natural and not like a computer? Yeah, I think you just have to go in and test the different dialects. The other thing is, what are they trying to convey? So it could be English lively, English professional, English. So there'll be a number of different, like you saw, was British warm, like the one that we played here just a little bit ago, the British accent, to me wasn't the coolest one. We had tested out one. I was like, oh, I love that one because it was just like she was just having her tea and crumpets. And so you just have to keep testing to see what you're after. And the Southern one, to me, I was like, that's just fun. Give some variety. Okay, I think I picked off some of these. Is it powered by Google Translate or is it translation proprietary? I have no idea. That's a great question for Synthesia.io. You can tell we just want to use it. So over the time, have you been using it? Yeah, over the changes. Okay. All right. Well, we will be at a table here after a little bit and look forward to just chatting with you all. And as someone had mentioned, over the course of time, have we seen dialects improve or the less robotic voices? To be quite honest, we haven't been using it that long. Just a couple of months. What, Issa, maybe 3 months tops? So yeah. I stumbled upon it. I was reading something where I read something else that found, somehow I got to this spider web and I found this link to Synthesia.io and I thought, well, that sounds interesting. That's how I ran across it. And I was like, this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. And I played something to my management team and it was my IT director who said, oh yeah, a CGP. And I'm like, a what? A computer generated person. I'm like, very cool. Okay, that's what we have here. So anyway, we've had a lot of fun with it and I hope you do as well. We'll see you at the
Thank you so much.
We'll see you at the tables.
Thank you so much, Isa and Heidi. So once the sessions are over, Isa and Heidi will be in table 1 for you to ask any other questions you may have. So start thinking about them now so you have them ready in 20 minutes. Okay, so next up we have Naomi Pusch, and she's from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Her presentation is on usability testing to improve your design. Take it away, Heidi.
Thanks, Liz.
Sorry, Naomi.
Oh, yep. I was like, oh wait, do I stop? Hello, everyone. Again, yes, I'm Naomi Pusch. I'm with the Center for Learning Innovation at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, although I sit out here in Portland, Oregon. I actually, if anybody recognizes this teapot, if there's any design of everyday things fans out there, this is the Don Norman book on usability. Highly encourage you to check it out. I'm actually going to start off talking, we'll start off with a poll, Liz, if that's okay. What I'd love to know from folks that are on here, do you usually get a chance to hear from any of your learners on your projects? So let me know here. Do you usually get a chance to talk to your learners? Let's get a sense for where people are. And there may be folks who are, not designing things specifically, but I'm just interested in your learning projects. Do you usually get a chance to? And I'm see if I'm not seeing the results. Liz, do I? Liz, are you still there? Oh, I guess we had lost Liz for a second. I'm not seeing the results from the poll. Is that?
Let me close the poll. So I can see them. So let me
Okay.
see if that makes a difference. Can you see them now?
Nope.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Maybe I'll try. Okay. I'm gonna hide it and show it again and see.
Oh, I can see it now. So I think. Oh no, that's the last one. Here we go. Got it. All right. So we've got folks. Okay. Wow. We actually. I'm surprised that we've got folks that are always talking to their learners. That's great. A lot of folks are trying on most projects. And I'm glad we didn't have anybody saying they wouldn't, why would they want to talk to learners? I'm going to go ahead and what I'm interested in knowing is how exactly do you talk to learners? So I'd love to see in the chat if you could throw in like, how is it that you're talking to your learners? Are you, is it surveys? Is it how are you actually able to talk in person? I'd love to see some folks throwing some things in there. What are some of the ways that you get to talk or hear from your learners? And while people are throwing some things, surveys, okay, great. Yeah, meeting in person where possible, a lot less possible these days. So the question that I have been thinking about a lot lately. Okay, we've got some unofficial feedback from conversations. Okay, these are probably good ways to hear from learners. What I worry about is, are we ever asking our learners what they do or did? Or are we asking them, are we relying on what they say they did in order to find out about behavior? Because a lot of times we are looking for behavior, right? That's what we're wanting to find out about. So there's what people say they did, right? And then what actually happened. Our memories of what happened don't always serve us so well. Eyewitness testimony is notoriously flawed. And we're really all about trying to understand behavior, right? So we really shouldn't be relying just on what people say they did. We should watch them do it, right? So this is where usability testing comes in. And we have a hard time finding out about behavior. So if we used usability testing, when could we do that? If you're using the ADDIE framework, or you've left ADDIE for SAM, or you have some other framework, likely you have some sort of phase where you're trying to understand the problem, learn about what's currently happening, framing a point of view. This is ADDIE with some design thinking incorporated into it. Here's where you could use in the analysis phase is where you could use two user research techniques that we would call together user research. Field research or observation is ideal. That's where you're actually sitting in a learner's environment, seeing what tools they use or what they've created, really the gold star if you can make it happen. But there's also usability testing, which you can do a little bit cheaper and maybe faster. You could give a learner, we're thinking about the analysis phase, right? So you could give a learner a scenario-based task and observe them completing it while they think out loud, which I will talk more about. But and you might be able to see like what tools they're using or what steps they're taking, where they're hitting a snag. It's a little bit of a different take on task analysis, right, from the learner's point of view. Or maybe you just, I mean, you haven't designed any kind of solution yet. Maybe you're just observing them using other learning resources, a job aid or an e-learning course, and you just want to see how they use that type of tool. What do they click on? What grabs their attention? I think you're going to be surprised what you learn. One that I've learned, your learners are not using that learner guide that you spent hours developing, right? Or they're ignoring hyperlinks in the text of your e-learning. They're struggling with juggling their materials and all their work on one screen, or they can't find that one button that you feel like is staring them right in the face, right? Or they're having difficulty reading the text, it's too small. Whatever it is you learn, it's going to help you develop some empathy for the learner, and you're going to remember that when you move into your design phase. So you can also use usability testing when you're prototyping and testing your own design, and later when you want to come back to evaluate your solution. So what do you need for usability testing? Usability testing, I've been doing a lot of it in the pandemic here. It's all been remote, so it's possible that way. Also possible to do it in person, depends what you're testing, right? If you need to see a task being done in person, or if they can share a screen and do it that way. But all you really need is a facilitator, some tasks, and a learner. A little bit about these. The facilitator, really, if you're the designer or developer, it really shouldn't be you, because you're going to be too tempted to tell them what to do, and you'll hear some of the introduction you give. It's better if you have someone who didn't design the thing that you're testing. For tasks, you want them to be realistic scenarios, but not too specific. Like you might say your manager assigned you some mandatory training. Show me how you would get started if you want to see how they access it. Or complete your time card for the week, something not too complex. Or it might be just take this e-learning as you normally would, right? In which case, if you have something that large, you probably want to have prioritized set of tasks or sections that you want them to review. And then the participant, this is really key. The learner should be a real user or learner. So if you have a primary learner persona that you've identified, it should be one of those people, right? They have the right background, experience, context. They're definitely not a subject matter expert or any member of your project team, because you all know too much. And ideally, you'd actually have 5 learners that you could watch, but any is better than none. So if you've got 2 or 3, I say go for it. You might want to bring in a note taker if you're not able to record a session. Recording is definitely ideal, but if not, have a note taker in there. And then observers, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but you may want to bring in folks from your project team to observe, but you want to make sure you also set ground rules with them to be quiet the entire time. And what does your usability session look like? You want to have an introduction, and I highly recommend having a script for your intro. You want to establish some rapport and some comfort and understanding of what they're doing. In terms of rapport, you try to be unimposing, but not too chummy either. Thank them, learn how to pronounce their name, tell them why you're in the session, not too much detail. We just want to see how our folks use our job aid or whatever. And if you're remote, you would introduce any other observers and then ask them to go off camera. So it really should just be you and the participants if you're the facilitator. The caveats are the most important piece, I think, in your introduction. You want to make sure you let them know that you didn't design whatever it is that they're looking at or whatever. They can provide you honest feedback. It won't hurt your feelings. And you want to let them know that you're not testing them, right? And there's no right or wrong answer. Most importantly is that you do whatever you would do if you weren't, whatever they would do if you weren't observing them, that's what you want them to do. And if there's something that you're asking them to do that they wouldn't normally, you want to have them let you know. And of course, recording, you'll have to get permission, obviously. It could be, problematic, but it really is the best thing if you can do it, because later on you can use it to show other stakeholders that they need convincing. if there's something you want them to move on. And sessions, I wouldn't go over 60. I've done 90 minutes when it's been combined with an interview, but really try to keep it pretty short. And then the most important piece in a session is asking folks to think out loud, right? You want them to state what they expect to happen or what they're looking for when they're confused by something or when something is harder or easier than they expected, stuff that they like, stuff that they need. If you want a sample of what it's like to have folks think out loud, the Nielsen Norman group, who I got my certification through, does have a sample video out there, and I'll provide a link to that later. And then, what does it look like? You hand over to the learner some scenarios or tasks, and really it's better if you have the learner read the scenario or task first, provide it in the chat, give them a document, and then you observe them actually doing the task. And the key is this is not an interview, so don't interrupt a learner's train of thought. Use silence to your advantage. If there's a pause, try waiting at least 5 seconds. And I challenge you to do 5 seconds. It's more awkward than you think. But mostly err on the side of being quiet, because there are times where you're gonna want to let them kind of explore where would they go next if you weren't there, and you might be surprised what you find out. But there are times when you want to probe, like when the learner's quiet and not doing anything but obviously thinking but not telling you what they're thinking. Give them a pause, see if they're going to reveal what they're thinking, then speak up and say, tell me what was going on for you when whatever. Definitely don't direct with like, you look like you were confused. Let them tell you how they're feeling. And the less specific you are, the better. So don't call out specific things on the page, because you might direct the learner to a particular place. So yeah, don't direct, reflect, guide. Don't guide them with some kind of priming question or suggestion, and actually don't even help them, which I think is the hardest thing to do as trainers. If they ask you what they should do, you should come back with, well, what do you think? Or what would you do if I weren't here? Have them try what they would do if you weren't just kind of looking over their shoulder, and eventually they'll probably stop asking and just try and do some things, because you want to see what would they naturally do. Sometimes you can just repeat their comment using a questioning tone. So if they said, well, that was odd, you could say odd with a questioning tone and let them fill in the blanks, right? And then if they're looking at some e-learning, they may need some time to read and digest information. In the past, I've asked users, if they aren't comfortable reading out loud, to just indicate with their mouse where they are so I can tell they're reading or thinking about something. And then you may want to ask them to explain what they read in their own words. So if you're really interested in a particular piece of content, if they can't say it in their own words, then probably they've struggled with understanding. Like if they're just repeating back what they have on the screen or on the document. So you may end up asking them, what did you think about the information on that page? Was it easy or difficult to understand, or what would you have changed about it? And then, of course, you do want to develop a system for taking notes, because this is like part art, part science in terms of getting really good at this, so that you are able, at the same time that you're listening, you're able to observe or note where a learner is struggling and see that over a couple of different sessions. And again, bring in observers if you can. There's nothing like watching a learner struggle to create, do something, to create some empathy and desire to fix something. And then use your findings to create a journey map. I did want to note, you should have findings but not solutions. Bring your findings back to your team and you can create solutions together. So you may create a journey map to help you identify opportunities for the future. that was a very quick run through, but I think you can find lots of good articles and information on the Nielsen Norman Group's website, including the one I mentioned to you about using the Think Out Loud protocol. I highly encourage you to try this even just once, to try some usability testing just to see what you've learned. I've learned a lot about what not to do when creating a user interface, right, with e-learning or even job aids. So I don't know how much time we have left, Liz, but I think I'm happy to answer any questions too.
Sure. Naomi, I saw that there is a question in the Q&A for you. Let me go ahead and pop it up. All right, I guess it's more of a comment. Actually,
okay, yep.
I guess that's for me.
Yep.
Yes. The session is being recorded, and everyone will get a link to the videos once the conference is over, maybe in about a week, once we process everything.
Well, I'd love to ask a question of other folks in here. Has anybody tried this previously or some version of usability testing? I'd love to see in the chat if folks. And I'd love to hear your what you learned, if anybody has tried this. It doesn't look like most folks have, so.
Sue Kappa made a comment in the chat.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, that's what we've been doing too, is having folks, first time as they're coming in, being able to take a look at, and I don't know if you're learning something similar, Sue, but I'm learning, I'm getting old, right? Like I need to watch how newer generations are taking e-learning and how they're working with training resources. It's good to refresh my memory and learn some things that they do quite differently. The testing is focused, Beverly, your testing is focused on device design. Okay, more than learning. Jen, that's a really good lesson learned. The less you say, the more you will learn in usability testing, right? That's why it really is an art, and it's really hard for trainers to do. I feel like we tend to want to jump in and help people, and so you really kind of have to hold yourself back. But yeah, if they can work through on their own, you really get to see what would happen and what people do. Yeah, I think the huge benefit here is we kind of assume some things about how people behave and how they interact with our learning, but until you're actually watching people, you can't be sure if that's really what's going on, even when you're asking them, which is unfortunate, because that is the easier thing to do. But if you get a chance to sit and observe some learners interacting with your learning, you're going to learn a lot about your design and what you might want to do differently.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naomi. We're going to go ahead and end the session, but Naomi's going to be in table 2. If anybody has any other questions, if you would like to continue the conversation there's a 10-minute break before the next session. So please feel free to go to table 2 to talk to Naomi, and Isa and Heidi will be in table 1 as well, ready to answer any questions you may have. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. This is a great session. See you soon.